This is my first video camera. So before I got this camera, I never really got to use a real video camera. I was always using almost cheap toys or a point and shoot camera that also had a video mode, but this was the first real video camera that I ever got. As a kid, I was obsessed with skateboarding. I used to spend hours and hours every summer with my friends at the skate park. We would always watch these skateboard videos with all these professional skaters and see all these YouTube videos, and we wanted to create our own videos. So this was 13 years ago. This is long before the days where every kid had an iPhone in their pocket, able to shoot video at a moment's notice. So I remember when I picked up this camera, everything sort of changed. I would bring this camera every day to the skate park, and to me, it didn't even seem like I was trying to become a better filmmaker. I was just trying to get better at skateboarding, and filming was kind of a way to capture that progress along the way. But as I soon found out, once you start filming, you need to edit as well. So I would just find the cheapest editing program I could, or just a trial version, and use that. But the cool thing is, when I look back on it now, is, you know, we didn't obsess over if we had the best camera or the best editing rig or what it was. We were just going out and creating. And I think that's how you really get good at something, is your passion and your dedication is what drives you, not the gear you're buying. And I really don't think you need expensive gear to start out to get good at something. If anything, I think you actually get better by starting out with cheaper gear. And the reason for that is you find ways to make your art look good only using the tools you've got. And I kind of understand too that there is a sort of threshold for this. Obviously there's a limit between what is crappy and you can still kind of use it, and, you know, the top end gear. And what really mattered at the end of the day was not that I was worrying about what gear I had, but that I was getting out and I was creating. And I think it applies to other art forms as well. This right here is my great-grandfather's acoustic guitar. It is the very same guitar you saw me playing 13 years ago. I've never met my great-grandfather, but playing this guitar has weirdly connected me to him throughout my entire life. When I was younger, I probably could have saved up the money to buy a newer guitar, but I didn't. I chose to play the cheap acoustic from the 70s with character. Even when I eventually bought newer equipment, it still didn't quite feel the same. I didn't worry too much about the fret buzz or even changing the strings. In fact, I think these are probably the same strings from 13 years ago. Gross, I know, but for the most part, I just wanted to play. And I didn't overthink it. Don't overthink creativity. Just create. Yes, it's good to plan, but don't get caught in the cycle of thinking rather than doing. All it takes is stepping out of your house with the camera or picking up that paintbrush and creating whatever it is that comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't even have to be good. It just has to be. So since I'm talking about gear a lot, I should probably show you what I'm shooting with these days. In my gear bag, I have a Panasonic GH5, a Panasonic GH4, a 7 to 14mm wide angle lens, a 20mm pancake lens, an ND filter, a couple Rode microphones, a super cheap lighting setup, and a DJI Mavic Mini. You know, considering I've been shooting for roughly 15 years and shooting professionally for about 8 years, I think this is pretty minimal as far as acquiring gear goes. I do sometimes feel there aren't enough YouTube creators out there dedicated to telling stories though. The more common path seems to be reviewing the gear rather than using the gear to make films, which is fine. We all need to know what's happening with the latest tech, but it's good to remember that the gear exists to help us create. I've always struggled with overthinking when it comes to creativity. Perfectionism has halted progress many times, and ironically enough, it even slowed me down on this video as well. But every time I look back on those videos I created as a kid, I realized just how authentic those videos are. I wasn't trying to control every detail. I didn't have a script in place. We just went out and we did it. And every time I feel stuck or I feel like I'm getting in the way of myself, I think, how would younger me approach this? And I take inspiration from that. If you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. It really helps out the channel. I've got some really cool videos planned for the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, Keelan just landed a kickflip like 30 seconds ago. Let's see if we can do it again. Oh, he landed again.
Oh, so close. I missed it.
Did you actually?